Oh, hey, welcome back. We're here on the record, J-Max Customs and Fabrication. I did not turn on the camera all morning. I've been plugging away. I got Goodyear airbags ordered for the cantilever. I bought some good bags. They're double billow instead of triple. They don't expand quite as far, but they are similar in dimension and everything to where I think I can fit them in here. Fingers crossed, it'll work. Got my passenger side bump stop put in while you guys were gone. I dropped my phone. Let me pick that up before it breaks it any worse than it already is. I got my steering. It's kind of there. I got to pull it out and do some welding on it and then put it back under and make sure everything clears. I have to weld it on good enough that it won't rip it off when I try to steer the rig, but I don't want to put it on so good that I can't get it back off if it's not quite what I want. So there's kind of a yin yang give and take type thing there, but I think it'll work. It's not too highly overprotected the way I did it, but it's up out of the way and everything. I might put a plate on the front of it to protect it. We'll see. I tore all of the electronics out of the dash and I just threw them in here. I was gonna put my A-pillar bars in here and get my dash bar and mount all of this to it. And then I got to thinking, man, I gotta fill in this big hole. And the last thing that I want to do is have a couple of bars and stuff right in my road. I'm just going to kind of drape the wires there. I might spot a bar in there or something so I can zip tie some of them wires up and zip tie the computer to it. But nothing permanent because I don't want to have to fight with it for several days while I build that firewall. I have the brackets cut for the bump stop on this side somewhere. There's 3 of them and they're all different sizes, and they're just a gusset that goes up underneath here to strengthen that when the bump stop hits it so it doesn't just bend it over. It's probably going to take some hits that would just bend that 1/4 inch like it was nothing. This side over here is all done. I don't know that I showed you this piece how I cut that ear on it, but I gusseted it with 3 gussets as well, so that's not going anywhere when that hits it. But I set this back so if the airbag doesn't work and I have to put a coil over in here, this is set back to where it's not right in the middle of the axle so that the 2 of them aren't trying to share real estate. This is all just droppings from my MIG welder where I was kind of welding in that gap and it was dripping. That's why I don't like sitting under my MIG welder when I'm welding, because that would have hurt. You would have been branded like you were on some stupid Western show on TV or something. Hey, you gotta brand me. Yeah, my butt. Think I'll go find a job somewhere else. Anyway, we're gonna run it on the bump stops, and it's just gonna be like a deadhead suspension. I thought that this, when I set it all up, I thought that this was carrying the weight of the pickup because it was showing about 1 1/4 inches of the shaft on the bump stop hanging out. And then I put a little bit of air in the tire, and that bump stop was actually, I didn't have a valve core or anything in this tire, and that bump stop was actually pushing the last little bit of slack out of the tire, and it was compressing the tire out here instead of picking up the pickup. Crazy. You know, people might say, well, the airbags will never pick that up. What the heck do you think this is? It's just a big airbag that you drive on. Okay, I still have to TIG weld this lower radiator hose, and since I'm going to bring the airbags back, I want to mark center here, and I want to run a pipe from here to there and there to there to triangulate that so that when the airbags, when this side's under a load, it doesn't just want to push this over. Well, it's still going to want to, but it won't let it, I guess is what I'm saying. And I need to cut this piece for the other side and get my piece of square tube in here to hold that up. I came here with the intentions this morning to just go hog wild on this thing, and I wasn't even worried about bringing you guys in. I just wanted to knock out as much as I possibly could so I could get as close as I could to driving it. I'm going to get my orbital hooked up, get my steering done, and I'll get everything to where I can fill my radiator with fluid, and I'll probably do my cooler tubes. I don't know that I'm going to worry that much about the exhaust because my cab is going to be plenty airy, so I don't have to worry about too many exhaust fumes. I have to come up with some sort of a drive line. I think that slip yoke eliminator kit makes the transfer case a lot shorter. So I don't want to just cut my old drive line off because then it's going to make it too short. If the yoke elimination kit shortens the transfer case up, I have that transfer case on the other engine that I haven't looked at yet to see if it's the same one. I actually have 4 of those transfer cases. I should be able to just tear the living heck out of them and just build another one as long as I don't screw up the pieces that it takes to make them slip yokeless. Anyway, I'm wasting time talking to the camera, and I should be welding on this axle so that it can cool off so I can put the bump stop on this side. That's the only reason that I haven't put the bump stop over here is because I have to weld these gussets in, and I have to finish welding my plate for my suspension mount to mount to. But this bump stop has a piece of plastic on the end of it, and if I mash this onto where it's holding the whole pickup up, and then I weld the heck out of that plate will get so hot that it'll melt the rubber off of the plastic off the end of that bump stop. That's no good. So nothing exciting. I'm sure you guys have seen me weld for hours upon hours now. I'm going to weld these gussets in and weld that plate in, and then pull my steering out from under here so that I can weld it good enough that it'll turn the tires so I can test it. Everything right now, you have to remember, is it full bump. This is as compressed as the axle is going to be. So where these steering is like within 2 inches. Not only that, but I have this side jacked up so I can move this tire, so that I had to move the tires away from each other to get my steering rack in, because the weight of the steering rack, it droops, pulls the tires together, then you can't get your steering rack in. So this side here I have jacked up, and it's off of the jack stand by 1 inch or so. So that's driving that other corner down. So the bump stop will actually, before I weld it on, I'll let that side down, I'll get everything evened out, because this side here needs to come up probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches, where it's, you can see here in the front how much higher the passenger side is than the driver's side. So that's got this side squashed here. It should be at 5 1/8 and it's at 3 1/2. So yeah, my helmet won't stay up, and if I tighten it anymore, when I put it down, it pulls the strap off the back of my head. And I haven't taken the welding helmet off because I had planned on just talking to you guys for just a minute and then going back to work. So Slim's probably texting me. That was my phone going off. He's been getting a couple subscribers a day, and we're pretty excited about that. I'm not saying that I haven't, but I don't want to. Oh, he wants a picture of what I went to Denver for. You guys might want one too, but he probably has a better chance of getting one than you do, because we're not there yet. That's gotta wait. You just have to be patient. We'll get there. It's coming. Yep, my helmet's gonna cover my face back up. Oh, anyway, I got welding to do. I have to run home and take a picture for Slim. I appreciate everybody watching. Love that we're getting subscribers and, you know, all the good stuff. The number one reason that I'm doing all of this on the channel is that Slim's down in Colorado, can't be here. By me doing this, he can keep up with what's going on. And that's my number one reason. But I do appreciate every one of you that spends time with me here on J-Max Customs. And that being said, you can't spend time with me right now because I'm going to go weld. But I'll be right back. Okay, quick update. End of the day, it's about 10:30 at night, something like it. I got the steering mounted. I got both bump stops put on. I have the brakes somewhat figured out as far as I know I can hook up the back ones. The front ones, I'm going to have to find a T so that I can make one line into two so I can go to each front tire because they teed through the ABS. Okay, back at it here. Last night I figured out my brake lines, this spaghetti here, and there's only the one line that goes from here to the back, and then there's only one fitting on proportioning valve here that goes to the front, and I need two lines. I thought I had it all figured out, and then this morning I was thinking I can't hook anything that the brake reservoir is hooked to the cab and all the brake lines are hooked to the frame, so I can't just plumb that in because my cab has to move. So I ran down to my local Napa hoping to get one of these lines here. If I could put a rubber line like this in the front that went down like that, then I would have a T for my front lines to where I'd have two out of the one, and then I have this flexible line that would go from that proportioning valve down to the frame, and that way my cab could rotate and I wouldn't have a problem with my brakes as far as my cab moving, and then my brake lines could just move with it. I'd have plenty of slack, and then it'd be another thing that was built around the whole idea of the cab flopping over and hinging. Of course, they didn't have any on hand, not for something old, not for something like this, nothing. So I ordered a couple of them, so I can't get the brakes done for a couple of days. That's going to set me back a little bit because I thought that, you know, I could get the brakes done. I got a whole bunch of stuff while I was down there as far as bolts and nuts and a U-joint, brake fluid, power steering fluid, and all that stuff. So I've got plenty to do. The wind is blowing. I mean, it's nuts today. It's actually blowing so hard that it's blowing the wheels on my Jeep. It's actually blowing gravel up into my rims. It's blowing so hard. And the corn stalks from the cornfields are going everywhere. But it's so noisy in the shop that I don't know how much recording I'll do today, just because it sounds horrible. I'm gonna get back to work and I'll catch up with you guys for an update when I get something done as far as kind of a milestone. But for now, I'll listen to the fiberglass panels and stuff vibrating and clanging without you, and I'll just bring you back when there's something that's worth watching. First, I'm going to put these pipes in here so that I have that done. Once I get that welded up, then I'm going to pull my radiator and intercooler back out, and I'll get everything final welded and cleaned up, and I'll paint all of this chassis black. Probably not all of it because my airbags should be here before long, and then I'll have to redo all of my mounts and weld all them on. I will get everything painted black to the point where we can put the new radiator in and get everything welded up to where we can get everything hooked in. I just don't want to weld these tubes in with the intercooler there. So once I get that done, then I can fill it with antifreeze and I can get everything bolted up, fit up. Then I'll bend a tube for my fender and I'll start cutting fenders and wheel wells, and we'll start putting the front sheet metal on here, just so that I can figure out what I'm going to do for sure with my headlights and stuff. I need to work on my list before I do the sheet metal. I need to work on my list. I have the brakes to do. I have to come up with a way to shift it. I have to put the driver's seat in it. I have to do the transfer case and the drive line so that I can drive it. And that's like my big milestone. I mean, she's sitting on her own weight. The bump stops are holding it. I was thinking last night, I don't know really how good it is for the bump stops to just be bottomed out like that. So I might go over and cut some like 4x4s or 4x6 and jack it up and just set those on the truss on the top of the axle just to hold it up off of the bump stops, and then it would be kind of at ride height so we can see what it's going to look like at ride height. I have the 142-inch tall tire to get put on the rim as well. So I've got like a great big long list of stuff. I was just going to get it moving and do a quick rip around the yard, but the more I think about it, the more I feel that I might as well have it to where it doesn't do it any harm to do that. So I'll get back to work and I'll bring you guys back here in just a moment. Okay, another quick update. I got rid of the spaghetti bowl of brake lines up here. I have two simple ones that run down to the frame, come out down here. They'll tie into that rubber line here, and it'll come back and then swing back past the hinge, come back, tie into this rear brake line, and then the other one will be right here. One will go to the one side of the front and the other one will go to the other side of the front. I have new brake lines for the front axle, from the axle to the caliper. You can hear the wind blowing. Look at that. That's insane. Look at the garage door blowing. Anyway, I'm trying to kind of treat this like we're leaving tomorrow, and I'm just knocking out as much as I can in the day. I have to have a place to put the fuse panel and probably the batteries for now when I do the test drive, because I don't have the battery relocation kit with all the cables and everything as far as moving them back here, and I don't have the bed built with the toolbox and stuff that I plan on putting back here to put them in. I am going to cut the wheel wells out of the fenders, and I'll get the fenders up there and probably get the new wheel opening cut out of them, and then I'll cut the wheel wells themselves in half, and I'll just cut them either here or there or whatever, and then I'll just widen them out so that they fit the 42-inch tall tires, and then I'll stitch them back in. But I'll leave the battery box locations basically alone so that I can just put the battery boxes in there and put the batteries back in the stock location for now. Who knows, maybe for the games and stuff, until I actually get it to where I'm going to have a pile of winches back here in the back, maybe I'll just leave the batteries in the front. I'm not 100% sure. But again, the wind is just making it almost impossible. The people finally came out to set my propane tank today, and they have to dig a trench from the tank to the building. And I just told the guy, I'm like, if you have anything better to be doing today, I would go do that. It might be colder tomorrow, but if the wind's not blowing 85 miles an hour, it sure will be a lot more enjoyable for him. I'm gonna get these fenders sat up here again and decide exactly how I'm gonna cut them so that I can get all of this stuff mounted to them. I have these stainless braided lines for the brakes, again off of my old rock crawler, that I'm trying to get to fit in here. If I had more of them, I could just use those to make my loop so that the body could hinge, but I don't. I have two to use on this project and two that I can use on Slim's 4Runner 4 crawler project. I'll just stick with the 20 or 22 inch, whatever they were, rubber line. It'll be fine. So I'm getting back to work. I'll check back with you here in a minute. I cut the wheel well out of this fender. As you can see, where the stock battery went, that I left this bracket here because I thought I could tie the front of the fender up with it. Remember that these fenders can't hook to the chassis, so this fender will have to be hooked to that fender like via a hoop. Maybe just this pipe coming through the headlight area here, and then just straight across right over the top of the winch, and then I will probably build a bracket that comes off of that comes down here and ties into 2 of these bolts or something. Something simple. It'll probably just have the 1 bolt. There might be a bracket that comes off of here, and then it'll just have 1 bolt out here, so I can just take these 2 bolts out and throw the body over. It was easier just to cut this section out of the fender to remove the wheel well. So I cut on the bottom of the line. Remember, we're gonna go straight with the line off of the headlight, maybe even a little bit above that. So I left 2 inches of material there to see how I like it. I don't really like this area here, so I might jack it up and turn the wheel from lock to lock and see if I could take a panel, and I have another cab like this that has white doors that I'll probably do like a half door out of the white ones, so that when we're wheeling it hard, I just have half doors on it like everybody else. But if I have the extended cab doors from that cab, and I could easily cut a panel out of it here and add to it, again, probably a later date. I don't need like a show pickup to go to Sand Hollow with. I need a pickup, period. If I put the wheel well, it's gonna come way up in here, so I'm not gonna have room for a battery here. Probably it's gonna be an airbag up in here, so all that's got to go. My air box is gonna be back here. I don't know, I could maybe build something for a battery here, but I don't like it. You know, the early Cummins, they only had 1 battery, so as far as driving it under its own power and everything, I think if I can get 1 battery fit up under here, it'll start on 1 battery, and we can rip it around a couple of times on that. So not worried about that. That pipe that'll come across here and tie the 2 fenders together, it'll have to clear the hood. Headlight wires will probably run on it. My headlights are probably going to come off of, if I can get the airbags to work, the airbag brackets like here, and I'll probably just have a bracket come off of that up here like this, and have my lights mount to that. I have a set of those lights. I want to get the set that looks like this, they have the amber accent around them, so that I could put a blinker and everything in the outside headlight. And I'll probably do the same headlight setup on Slim's rig over there, just because it's going to be pretty simple and not probably DOT legal. But I just have these little square LEDs, and I just plan on having like that one there like that, and then one beside it like that. And we'll have, I don't think I'll stack them. I think they'll be like that and like that. I think that'll work good enough. So I'm gonna get the driver's fender cut. It's gonna be trickier because it's got the slider on it already. So I gotta cut that fender off at the bottom of the chrome. So there's 4 or 5 inches of fender that's gotta come off. I have to cut this off. So I'll lose that body mount bolt. That doesn't matter because it's a Dodge and it's all broke out anyway. This tire, I bent this rim really bad and I tore the tire in Moab. I don't think the tire leaks, but I think the rim leaks. I also think that one of my valve stems leaked, whether it's from the Stawn beadlock in there or the other valve stem. Anyway, one of them leaks really bad. But I'm gonna put that other 42 on here, and I'm gonna get that 42 put on the rim, and we'll get it to where it's sitting on all 4s. As windy as it is and everything, I think it's supposed to be this windy until almost midnight. And I have about 3 hours till dark. And the way the wind's blowing, as soon as it gets dark, it's gonna be colder than heck in here. So I'm gonna keep slugging away at it and see how much I can get done. All right, they didn't put propane in because of the wind, and it's now getting cold in here. It's cold enough the end of my nose is kind of cold and starting to see my breath, so must be about time to quit. I know we're gonna get really cold again, so get that propane on there so I can keep working, so I don't lose time like I did last time it got so cold. I threw a 42 on the back over here, made it look worlds different. I have a Mastercraft seat mocked up into it. I just kept all the original stuff so that I have a slider. It sits really good. I'm gonna cut some of this ugly stuff off of it that I don't need anymore. I'll probably just take it down to this rail right here, and just everything above it will have to go. And then I will build brackets that this will bolt to. I just have to make sure that it looks like this hoop is going to hit that bracket, So might have to, it's not on the other side, so we can move that around and make it to where it'll work. Seat just needs a little bit of bracket work. I got a seat in it. This metal on this intercooler, it would weld really nice, and then it wouldn't, and then it would, and then it wouldn't. But I got my intercooler tubes. Both of them are welded up, ready to go. I still have to do I didn't get the intake plenum welded up. I got to do that yet. I got this crossbar welded in, and this one's ready to be welded in, but I want to get this intercooler out before I weld anymore, because I could watch as I was welding slag dancing off of the intercooler. I got this other piece cut and put up there. I need to build my stobs that'll go up and hold onto the rubber. I have decided how I'm going to mount my radiator. I don't have it done yet. I'm going to put a tubing clamp on here that'll be removable, and then there'll be a bracket that welds onto it that will come back, and then it'll come up. This one I'm just going to leave this ear on. It'll have a bolt through it, so it'll come back, and then it'll go up. It'll catch this one, and then it'll catch this top mount here, and that'll all be like one piece, and this tubing clamp is going to hold all of it together. And then when I want to take the radiator out, I think there's 6 bolts you take out of the clamp here, and it'll all just pull off. The clamp will probably go this way to where the bolts go in like this or whatever, however I have to do it. I think I showed you everything else that I've got done. I just kind of sat over here and welded for quite a bit of it. So tomorrow, as long as it's not too cold, I got more welding to do. My brake lines won't be in until day after tomorrow. Then I'll have my brakes wrapped up, as long as I don't need any more parts. I think I can tie my brakes in so that I'll have brakes when I test drive it. The back one, I mean, it's fine for now, but when I unhook the sway bar and the shocks and make it to where it'll droop out, this rubber line is not going to be long enough. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do there. I might just add on to this line and bring it down to where it's got more of this. I'll use the same hose, but I'll just make it towards longer. I haven't decided yet, but that's something that I'll have to look into. I still don't have the other back tire on. Still sitting on a 37 BFG back here. Tomorrow, I'm just gonna plug away at it. I'll get all this welded up as well as I can, and I'll get that all painted and everything, and when we go back together, I'll put the new radiator in it, and I should have everything where we can fill it with water. I'm just going to hook the fuel line up the way it is now so that I can drive it. That'll have to be changed before I do the floorboard. I was just going to drive it so that we could all see it get driven, and the more I chip away at it, the more that I'm pleased with the idea of having it to where I can actually take it out and run it and stop it. I mean, I'm going to take it to the point now before I drive it that what we'll have left to do firewall, the hydraulics, the air system, and the wrecker boom, and the toolboxes maybe, and we'll get it wrapped up to the point where it's an operational wrecker. I'll have to tear the front end down and put a ARB locker in it. I got to decide what I'm going to do with gears. I might have to put a locker in the rear end yet. Anyway, it's getting cold in here. It's not near as much fun working in here when it's cold, and it's still blowing hard enough out here that it's like there's a fan on in here. So not only is it cold, but it's not an enjoyable cold at all. And I feel like I've got enough done that I put in a full day's work, which is always a good feeling. I like it. So anyway, I'll be back in the morning to hammer out more on it. I taped some LEDs on here just so I kind of could see what it looked like. Yeah, they're not at all like what they are going to look like or anything like that. They're pointed out to the side and whatnot. I just wanted just a quick visual of what I had in my head. I don't know if I should put them out here or if I should put them in here in the grill, and just because they'd fit, you know, you just have the 2 squares in here, or put one here and one here. I don't know. I'm still kind of on the fence. I got to get this driver's fender on there, but not tonight. I'm going home. Thanks for watching J Max Customs. Like, share, subscribe. Throw a comment in if you would. we don't have very many comments. So good luck to everybody. We'll see you on the next one.